Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can create this nice animation in Figma. So if you're new to my channel, kindly hit the subscribe button. To follow along, I've made the files available in the description below. So after downloading and extracting your files, copy them and paste them in Figma. You will have something like this. So once you have this, the first thing we need to do is to add a frame. So I'll be using the MacBook Pro 14-inch. So I'll zoom in so that we can see. After that, let's add a layout grid here. So this time I'm going to set this to columns, and this count should be 12, and then our margin should be 120 here. So I think that's fine by me. So I'm going to drag this item here, zoom in so we can just easily drag and drop this. We have this, you can drag again and then drop this here. So I'll zoom in and then drop this here. So once we have this, we can now move ahead and create an item here. So this I'm going to give that will be the text London. So I'm using capital letters. So now I want to show you a trick. Click on this section here and make sure that you're selecting here capital letter, so that you make sure that whatever words you're typing, it's in capital letter. So once we have this, then I will just grab some random text here from my browser. So London City, I will grab this text here. So just some brief about London City. So after grabbing this text, I'll go back to Figma, and then I will create a text area. That's where I want the text to start and then stop somewhere here. Then I can paste this. So let's first of all, let's change this to 12. That's the size, and then from extra bold we can make that medium, and we don't want that capitalized. So click on this and then come back to this here. So we want this in lower cases, but I want this, I don't want to apply anything, just at this it. So we don't want to apply anything, just display them the way they are typed. So now here we can now justify this item here. So I'm going to change the size of this to 64 here. So we have London here. So select this two item and then press Shift A to put them in an auto layout. So the spacing between them, I'll be using 16. So now if you're experiencing too much spacing here, you can select London, go to the settings here, and then make sure you are not using this. If you're using this, you're going to have extra spacing. So we remove the line height here, and then you can have this. So now select this item and then add a fill to that. So fill. So let's do some paddings here. So I'll give this 30 at the top, at the left and right, then top and bottom I'll give that 20, and then with a little border radius of 8. So after adding this, let's now reduce the opacity of this to 50. After doing that, add an effect to that. So here I'm going to add background blur, and then we can make this also 50. Yeah. So we have this section already. So let's work on our images. So now for the images, I'm going to highlight everything here. And then what we're going to do here first, I'm going to unlock this. For the weight of these items, I'm going to change that to 250. Then the height, I'm going to make that 350 here. So now I could just zoom in, drag this item, drop it here, and then do the same for this here, and then do the same for this here. So we have 4 items. So I'll just highlight them and then drag them somewhere here. So now I don't want to put these items in an auto layout. So to arrange the spacing between them, you can come in here and just play with this around, or you can just use these numbers here to change the spacing between each of these items. So you can easily group these items together. So but before we do that, let's rename the images. Right click here, make sure they are all highlighted, and then click on rename. So now I'll show you a trick. Just use a $ and then the letter N, you see. So if we want to add maybe initials, now we'll just say city, then you see we have city 1 2 3 4, and then if you're using a capital letter here, it just counts out from the top to the bottom. So we're using the lowercase here. So if you're still watching this video and you're not subscribed to my channel, please kindly hit the subscribe button. So now, after having these items, what we're going to do is we need one of these images to cover this background. So we can select this, Ctrl C here, and I will just paste this inside. Then let's zoom in like this. So now select this and then let's hide the layout grids. So don't worry about the image. If you're not okay with that, you can just use this and try to align this. But for the other ones, we don't have that luxury. You can try to do that. So here, if you want to maintain the whole city, I'll just adjust this like this. So once I have this, this will be my first city. So if this is my first city here, so that means this guy is going back here. So now I'll highlight these items and then drag them in here. So I'll zoom in so that we can all see. I'll just drag them and then drop them somewhere in here. So you see, it's aligned to the center of the frame. So now let's just do a simple trick here. So I will add a rectangle somewhere here, and I'll just bring it in here. But let's make sure that it is at the bottom of this last city here. So double click and just name it layer, okay, blur or shadow. Shadow. Once we're using shadow here for this, here I think I can't see my shadow. Let me drag that here. So I think it's behind this image here. So I want it to be at the top of this image too. So let me do that, drag that back here. So now what we're going to do is change the fill of this to black, and then you can change the opacity to whatever you want, so 50 or less than that. Once you do that, we can add an effect to this. So we can now use the background blur, and you can blur this, let's say 70 here, and then I can just go down here, and then okay, let's decrease the opacity to 20 just to give this images some shadow. So I think let's use the layer blur, that will be better. So I can increase the opacity back to 50 here. So now I think this is a bit more visible. So after having this, now the next thing we want to do here is we want to be able to navigate. So this time here, to do that, I will select this item here, convert that to a component. After converting it, so here I will just name this to city description. So I'm going to zoom in, let's say city description. So once we have this, I'm going to go back to my assets, drag that, and then drop this here. So for the city description, I will press Ctrl D to duplicate this, drop it here, Ctrl D again, and then D again. So I'll select this. So before we continue, let's just quickly do something here. Double click on this item. Let's give this some property. So where you have this text, click here, and then this is going to be my city name. Then select this, which is going to be my description. So here we're going to create a property. So that will be a description for that. So coming in here now, it's easier for me to edit. So here I will just change this to Paris. Select this item here, so I'll be able to change this to here, Rome. So I'll select this and I'll change this to LA here. So we have Los Angeles here. Once you have this item, highlight over these items, and then I'm going to make sure that the space in between them is 16. Please don't put them in an auto layout. Right click and then just frame selection here. So this is going to be city disc. So we have this item here. So what you're going to do now here is to drag this city description and then drop it in here. So once you drop this here, make sure you're clicking on this clip content here. We make sure we're selecting the newly created frame, which is the city disc. So for this item now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to drag these items till I get to the last one here. So I'll just drag this and drop this here. So on a very good day, I think we can try to change the color of this item. Black doesn't look good here. So wherever we are having the black color, let's try to change that to white here. Okay, so this is better. So we have white here. So it's automatically going to change for the other ones because we are using instances of this component. Before we continue, let's just quickly add some text here. So now I will just add Tor. Let me zoom in so that we can all see Tor. So here, I'm going to change this to 32. Okay, I'm going to change this to 32, and then I'm going to use the extra bold for this. So let me just add a dot here, Tor dot. So here. So now the next thing, let me quickly add some links here. So I'll just put cities here, then Control D, countries, then here I will just say villages. So I'm going to select these 3 items, and then we're automatically going to reduce the size of this. Let's go 14, and this is not going to be extra, but rather it's going to be medium here. So let's improve this to 16. So we can put this 3 items in an auto layout by pressing Shift A. So now let's reduce the spacing between them to 32 each. So let's add one last item. So here I'll just request Tor. So let's add this in an auto layout by pressing Shift A, and let's add a fill to this, and I'm going to change the text color here to, let's say, something dark. So here let's select our frame back. So I'll select this frame. So for the margin at the top and bottom here, I can make this 12, and here I can make this 16 here. So I think let's do better here. Let's add just some space in here. I just want that as big as this. Okay, this is good. So here we can use 4 for the border radius. Request Tor. So now that I have this button, I can select this button and then drag this here. So hold Shift and then select this item, Shift A, to put them in an auto layout, and make sure this is aligned to center. So hold Shift and then select the Tor, Shift A, make sure that is aligned to center. What you're going to do is drag this to this point and make sure that this is also touching this point here. So what you're going to do is, let's align this to center. And then the spacing here, we're going to change that to auto. So automatically it's just going to take up the whole space. So now let's just push this here a bit. If you have more designs, you can add them at the bottom here, but our main focus is to create the effect. So after adding this, we can now select this item here, and then let's align this first. Sorry, I'm going to select the frame, drag this here, and make sure this is also aligned to center here. So it's aligned to this items here. So now let's select this item and then press Ctrl D to duplicate. I'm going to drag this here for this item. So now we have these 3 items here, but we have an invisible item behind. So what we are going to do here is, let's drag this arrow here. That's the ruler. I'm going to drag this here, and then I'm going to drag this here. So after doing this, I'm going to select this item and then hold Shift to select these other ones. But you see the CT2 is hidden, so I'll hold Shift to select that. So let me select all the cities here. So once you do that, what we're going to do next is to push these items here. So once you push these items here, make sure that this is properly aligned here. Once you push this item here, for this last item here, duplicate this one, Ctrl D. We now have an extra of this, just take it outside. So now for this item, you can now zoom this, you can drag this like this to cover this, and then drag this to cover this here. So we have this our item. So for this, you can now Ctrl X and then bring it to this frame, Ctrl V to paste that here. So but this time I want to push this towards the ending, so I can just hold Shift and then try to push that here. If you actually want to see what is going on behind, if you're on MacBook, you can press Shift O So you're going to see your item here, and then you can try to align this. If you're on Windows, I don't know the command, but you can come in here and then go to view, and then where you see the outlines here, just click on this. So it will show you. For MacBook, you see Shift O. So for Windows, it will have its shortcut. So if I click on this, it's just going to bring that back to the original design. After having this frame here, what we're going to do is to select this item here, that's the London, and then double click to select this item here. You see I'm selecting this, and then hold Shift and then push this item here. So it's gone. So now the next item in line, it's going to come up. So I'm going to look for the next item, which is this item here. So I'll hold Shift and then push this here till it becomes visible completely here. So we have Paris here. The other one is gone. So now we're going to do the same thing. Select this item, duplicate this, Ctrl D, and I'll just drag this down here. So after dragging this down, we're going to duplicate this, Ctrl D. I'll take this outside here for referencing. So now after dragging this outside, you can use the Shift O, that's what we just learned, and then you can hold Shift on your keyboard and then select these items. So I'm going to select this, and also this. Then I'll hold Shift and then push this item here till this aligns with this one here. So you can press back your Shift O. On Windows, I don't know the command, but after checking that, you should be able to, use that. So now after having this, now we're going to do the same here. So I'm going to drag this here, and I'm going to drag this here also here. So after doing that, I'm going to select this Paris here, double click, and then push this item here also to the top, and then let's wait for the second one here. So I think let's see. Okay, so this is next in line. So I'm going to push this till it gets hold Shift, and then so that you can push it faster. And then we have this Paris here. Let's see. Okay, I have this here. So I have room. So now for this item that we pulled out, we're going to bring it back to our design here. So you can hold this, Ctrl X, select this item, and then paste it inside. So it's going back here. It's going to be the last item on the list. Please don't allow that to go outside of the frame. So I can press Shift O. So let me just hold Shift and then push this here towards the ending. So once it's not part of the screen, I think we're good. So we can do that again for the last item. Hold this, Ctrl D to duplicate, and we're going to drag this here. Once you do that here, we can now start the drill. So I'm going to press Shift O, and then I'm going to select these items here, item 1. So select this item. Please make sure you're clicking on the line to select it. So this is 16. Let me just make sure that is 16, and then I'll hold Shift, use the line. Let me zoom in. So now we can press Shift O to bring them back, and then try to push this here. So I'm going to zoom in to make sure that this is aligned here. So I'll push that. Okay, that's good. So we duplicate this one, Ctrl D. Okay, let me undo that, sorry. Select this, Ctrl D, drag that outside, and then I can select this and then do this here. So I think we have all the cities here. So what we're going to do here is select this, double click to select this city. So hold Shift and then push this text here. Should go up. Then we're going to select the last city, which is at the bottom here. Hold Shift and then your arrow key to just push this till it becomes visible. Okay, so we have a LA here, which is now visible. I'm just going to attend to that. Okay, let's see here. So that's good. So now another way to check if these items are aligned with each other is if I select this item here, you see the height and then the Y of this is at 380. So I can copy this. So let's check this now. The Y is 380. Let's select this. The Y is 381. Sorry. Here, let's check this here. The Y is 3, you see. So now I can just change this to 381 so that we have a perfect design. So for this item here, I think one item here is missing. So which did I remove? So now let me press Shift O and let's try to, okay, the item is there. Okay, the item is there. So I'll press Shift O. So you see this is my item here that is invisible. So I'll select this, right click and say bring to front. So here, bring to front. So let's press Shift O and see. You see it's now here. So without the outlines, you can see what you're hiding behind. So but with the outline, you see it's important that it displays what is hidden behind. So right now we have our item. That's this first item, the second one, the third one, and then the fourth item. We can just dive in and start the prototype. So to start the prototyping, I'm going to switch to prototype mode, select this first city, and then drag this to point to this. So this time it's going to be a smart animate, and then we can make this gentle here. So gentle, that will be fine. So now for this other image, I'm going to select this item and then drag it to this city here. So this time it's the same smart animate and gentle. Then for this item here, I'm going to drag this and then point to the last city here. So the same settings here. Then we come back to this other item. I'll select this here. I'll drag this and point to this city here. Right. Then this, I'll select this and then drag and point to this other city at the bottom here. Then for this one here, we're going to drag and point to the city here. So we can move to this other one here. So I'll select this. For this city, I'll drag and point to this one here. For this other city, we're going to drag and point to this here. For this other city here, I'm going to drag and point to this city here. Right. So I think that's fine. So now for the last one here, I'm going to select this, drag and point to this city here. Close that. For this dark city, I'm going to drag and select this other city here. Close that. I'll select this, drag and drop this to this city here. So once we've done that, I think we are done with the prototyping. So let's select this and then try to open this. So now that we have this our screen, so let's start by testing this and see. So you see, we now have the smooth transition. So if I select these items and then once it goes back to the first one, it restarts the counts again. So if I select this and then I select this here, I select this item, you see it goes back to the beginning. So this is how you can create this nice animation. Just notice this here, when you click, you see that's because we took our time to arrange them, to push them from the bottom to the top. So if you like tutorials like this, please kindly hit the subscribe button.